First went to Arizona when I was at LSU. They came and played us, and we beat them bad. But I saw they didn't have a lot of players, and I watched what they have done in that program since we played them a few years ago, and then what they went to the top 20 defense in the country, and still I don't believe had an all-conference player. I mean, they shut USC down, played some other teams very good with guys that they're not going to have a lot of draft picks. And I know his background, where he's from, his work ethic, what he believed in, and then he also knew Will and Bo Pelini. He grew up with Bo. Him and Bo and Pelini, them all went to the same high school. They're all from Cardinal Mooney in Youngstown. And then Will knew him. They tried to hire him when he was with the Dolphins. So two guys that I think very highly of, two of the best guys I've ever been around was Will and Bo. Spoke very highly of him too. So that connection, and I think we're very similar in our philosophies and the way we do things. And respected how he coached, and then the people we knew in that whole tie. And went against him, and it watched how he developed Arizona into playing in the Holiday Bowl this year.
Jimbo, to follow up on that with Mark Stoops and the hiring of Darren Elliott, how much was Coach Stoops, because obviously they coached together,
he brought him to our attention. He brought him to our attention, and like I told Mark, I said, listen, I have the utmost respect for everybody has their own opinion if we need to bring a guy in and look at it. But I'm not going to hire a guy until I want to hire him. I don't care who's friend, I got a lot of friends out there in ball I love. I don't want to coach with them. We got to win games. We got to get things done. You know what I mean? And he brought him up, and he told me, he said, listen, I just would like for you to talk to him. And we interviewed a couple other guys and talked, and he came in, and in my opinion, blew it away. I think he had the answers to what he did, understood, very organized, structured, very smart, young, energetic coach who had things, and it gets the big picture, understand, somebody talk. Gets the big picture of ball, which I think helps you in coaching and explain it. You get on the board, when you ask him questions, you can answer them. I even tried to trick him up. I go from here to here. I mean, he knew what he was doing. It impressed me very good. High energy guy, got a great recruiter, great organization. I know a guy or two on the staff with him out there that spoke very highly of him. And he earned the job. He wasn't given it because he was Mark's buddy. He came in and earned the job. I think he's going to be a bright young coach, I really do.
Did you know him at all before that interview?
No.
Did Mark and Greg do similar things?
Sorry?
Did Mark and Greg do similar things, or how much of your philosophy is going to be the defense?
They're going to have. There's still a philosophical way I want things done, and I'll, as a head coach, I think it's your job to put your fingerprints on the whole program in every aspect of it. I mean, you got to let them coach. I'm not a guy. I'm not going to stand over their shoulder, but I'll give suggestions and things we do. But I knew Mark's background because I coached against him, and I knew Greg's background. I coached with him, and I've seen what he did at East Carolina. They did a tremendous job the other day against the Heckman offense at Arkansas. And they are similar, but they're a little bit different, which I want. You know what I mean? I don't want two guys that are exactly the same. I think you have two guys that are big picture guys, understand guys. Now, Mark, as a coordinator, will always be his way. Greg understands that, and that's why it makes Greg, I think, so special. But it gives a different insight and a way to do some things. Greg's had some great success against West Virginia in the past with Pat White and all that stuff, and stopping all that option and bull running and things like that. And Mark's had some success out there, and I think it'll be a good blend. I think it'll be a great mix.
Can you talk about getting Greg to accept that role? Because going forward, some people question whether he would do that.
It talks about him and getting the big picture. Like I said before, when I took this job at FSU, it was because of Bobby Bowden. As far as what you would look at as opportunities, at the present time that I got offered, Florida State was probably the third or fourth best offer that I had. But the decisions I made wasn't based on next year. They were based on 5 and 6 years down the road where I wanted to be. And that's what I talk about, big picture thinking. Sometimes, the immediate offer to be the next thing is not the key. Where do you want to be 5 years from now? Where do you want to be 10 years from now? Where do you want to be 15 years from now? And how you think and you have to give. Never take a job for money. Never go beg for a job. Every job I've ever gotten, like Coach Bowden said, every job he ever got, somebody come and ask him for it. And he told me this once. I remember this too about Greg, and I don't mean to get off of that. Coach Bowden said, if you want the next job, do a great job at the one you had. And that's the way it's always been. And Greg did that. And then I think he understands where he wants to be 5 years from now. And so that picture of where he wants to be and how he wants to get there fit in. Florida State fit into his plans.
Do you anticipate any change in the spring game format?
Yes, will be. It'll be a game.
Coach, there seems to be somewhat of a disconnect between the student body and the football team in the last couple of seasons. Students seem to pull away in certain senses. Is there a way you're going to be able to get that enthusiasm and that connect back?
Well, I think the interaction of our players and the accountability in which we hold them to academically, which I think we had our best. Our freshman class this year had over a 3.0 as a cumulative GPA, and in the last two classes we've had our fingerprints on. I think everybody's above a 2.0 and doing very well in school and doing a good job of that. And I think that interaction, and we're going to hold them accountable. And we're going to, we want our fans and student body to be there, and we'll hopefully do some functioning and hopefully get a mentoring program that goes back and forth with some of the professors in the university and in the community and out there to see our guys that there's more to life than ball. There's a bigger picture out there. The ball's important, it's like it was to me. But there is life after ball and what we do. Because if you're going to be an ambassador for this university, you have to have something to do when ball's over, whether it's pro ball, college ball, whatever it is. So hopefully we'll interact, and I hope they'll see that and see where we're at.
When you talk about the support system stuff, what exactly specifically are some of those things that you're talking about?
How much time do you got?
A lot. How much time do you have?
Yeah, I know. I've got recruiting. If this phone rings and it's the right guy, I'm going to walk out here in about a minute or two. I promise you that. Yeah, but she was glad. I can say that, I know it. I'm sorry?
How is that going to be for you? How difficult is that process, especially with your very young family?
It is difficult, but I think you have to do it. And, the good thing, they remind me of it every day. They remind me of it every day. And there's a big screen TV in my office right now. So I made them hook a PlayStation 3 up so they can at least come in there and sit with me when I'm making calls. They can watch a little bit of that. But they remind me of it quite a bit. They do. And of course, we all push and push and push. But, at the end of the day, when all this smoke is cleared, they're the ones going to be there with you. And can't let myself do that. And they'll remind me, I promise.
Jimbo, you're addressing recruiting a bit there. You do have some limits, I think, remaining on part of the NCAA sanctions going forward. What are they? How many scholarships are you short going forward?
No, as far as that, it's just mainly keeping your nose clean. It's not going to affect any bowl game, any TV game, any scholarship limitations. Everything will move right on. So, we're going to be okay with that because we took some of them all the way back. As far as, if I understand it, football. So.
Do you have your full complement then going forward, as far as you know?
No. We're at 84.
We have 83, then we go to 84.
Yeah, 83, 84, which is 1 or 2, which is very manageable. It's still, you want it back, but very manageable.
One more question.
When was your first day in the office, and what was that moment like when you actually sat down in that chair? Because nobody's been in that chair for...
Well, you don't know the truth. I come in Monday morning and I walked in there. There wasn't a desk and the door was locked and I didn't have the key. He had his own, because he always had a different key than all we had. And I walked in and they hadn't had me a key. And then when I did open up, there wasn't a desk, and they were doing some work on there, so I had to go back down to my office. So that's a work in progress.
But have you gotten into the office yet?
Yes, I've gotten in the office yet. And Andy was quick. He got me a key quickly.
Coach, you were talking a little bit earlier about recruiting, about if the phone goes up. How satisfying, I know you can't talk a whole lot about it for specific guys, but how satisfying has it been to be so successful so quickly and really have guys buying in right away with the new?
Well, I think it's great, and I think what kids see today, which again, it goes part of the difference. I think kids see some opportunities early. Hopefully in 2 or 3 years, we're not sitting here saying those same opportunities, unless guys are going out in the draft real quick or something. But what I'm saying is, there's some opportunities there for some of these guys immediately, and I think they see that. You know what I mean? And it's different than kids that, because they all want that, as I say, want instant gratification, and there's some guys that can be impact guys. And I think that's been very good, and I think we just have to keep it going because, that's not over there. Those other schools aren't going to give up. They're going to fight and claw and scratch and do everything they got to do to get them back and keep recruiting. And, recruiting, as I say, until they're actually in the boat, you never count them.
We'll ask Mrs. Fisher and the boys to come on up, and that concludes our interview portion. If you guys would like to get some photos of the family, and then please help yourselves to some refreshments. Thank you so much.